Some pretty interesting moments as Mehdi Hasan went on Jubilee, their show called Surrounded. The title here on YouTube is One Progressive versus 20 Far-Right Conservatives, featuring Mehdi Hasan and far-right. Certainly, I don't even think that does justice to the ideology that some of these people espoused. Case in point, this dude right here. Let's take a listen.
How would Connor's America look? What would it look like?
Well, quite frankly, I think we would deport people who shouldn't be here.
No, I didn't ask about deporting. What does the government look like?
What does the government look like?
Yeah.
I would say, quite frankly, it's under a sort of benevolent leader, such as
Where does he
Franco.
come from?
It could be a kind of aristocratic class. Could be someone
who picks the autocrat?
Frankly, the people. I mean, we could hold a vote on it. Kings
So
were
isn't that democracy?
Well, sure. You can have a vote to get to that stage.
And then no more votes afterwards?
Absolutely.
Wow.
100%.
Wow. And if that autocrat kills you and your family, you're fine with that?
Well, I'm not going to be a part of the group that he kills, because that's the whole thing.
How do you know?
Carl Schmitt
Autocrats tend to kill everyone,
Carl
even their own
Schmitt makes
supporters.
this point very well in his work. It's the friend-enemy distinction, right? You
Carl
liberals,
Schmitt, the Nazi theoretician.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't care.
Are you a fan of the Nazis?
I frankly don't care being called a Nazi at all.
I didn't say that. I didn't actually say that. I said, are you a fan of the Nazis?
Well, they persecuted the church a little bit. I'm not a fan of that. But
what about the persecution of the Jews?
Well, I mean, I certainly don't support anyone's human dignity being assaulted. I'm a Catholic.
But you don't condemn Nazi persecution of the Jews?
I think that there was a little bit of persecution and
We
stuff
may
like
have
that,
to
which is
rename
bad.
this show because you're a little bit more than a far-right Republican.
Hey, what can I say?
I think you could say, I'm a fascist.
Yeah, I am. Absolutely.
I'm just checking who's clapping just to get my set of where everyone is on this.
Yeah, so
where do they find these people?
I don't know. I mean, and some of them you'll recognize from other episodes, like this blonde chick I've definitely seen before in other episodes as well. But I mean, I watched the whole thing.
That's crazy. You really
I did not enjoy it.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Mehdi did a great job. And there were some weird moments too where like some of these people would come up, especially on Gaza actually, and they would be like, I don't even disagree with you. It's like, what are we doing here? And then other ones would just be like, yeah, I'm a fascist and I think he should die. And it's like, what are we doing here? You know, it's just like,
yeah.
So my question for you is this guy, this guy, people online, or apparently as an online persona, they're saying like he's a groyper, meaning he's like a fan or follower of Nick Fuentes, obviously, you know, happy to be called a Nazi or fascist or whatever, doesn't care, and follows like Nazi thinkers and whatever. Like, how significant is this strain with young Republicans in particular?
It's a good question. I mean, I think this is, it's not representative of like an average kid by any means, or an average like 20-something by any means. It is something that for people who spend a lot of time in like the online fever swamps, the way that I think about it is there's now this almost like architecture, like there's this mental architecture, like him invoking Carl Schmitt out of basically nowhere in that conversation with Mehdi. It's such a tell that he's part of the
like he wants to say that. He was dying for Mehdi to be like, you're a Nazi.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I don't care if you call me a Nazi. Mehdi's like, I didn't even say that. I said, are you a fan of the Nazis?
Right.
He was he was so happy to have his little moment where like, yeah, you can call me a fascist, and thinks it's like hilarious, and everyone in the room is laughing and applauding that.
Yeah. And so there's always going to be a component of the right that's like fashy. There's always going to be a component of it. There's always going to be like mouth-breathing fringe, conspiracy theory addled weirdos. Like that's always going to be a part of basically any political movement. And on the right, it tends in the direction of like ultra-reactionary fascism. So the question that I have, and I don't have a perfect answer to it, but the question I have is it growing, or is it just that they now have this kind of mental architecture where they have like Carl Schmitt and they're ready to say friend-enemy distinction because they've read all of the viral threads, and there are people who are sort of thought leaders because the internet, you don't have to like gather in some type of like weird bar after closing and have these like meetings of like fringe weirdos. You can do it on the internet now, and there are people who are like national, like Nick Fuentes, an example of somebody who talks about this type of stuff. And so there's just is more obvious and more visible. I definitely worry that our elites are leading us into a position where more and more people are tempted by fascism or anarchism or any fringe, like frankly communism, because people are so desperate and upset. This kid though, he looks like a normal middle class dude who just is like,
yeah, like what's your excuse, buddy?
Yeah, but as much as I want to trash Jubilee or whatever the hell it's called, Surrounded, whatever it is.
Yeah, so the channel is Jubilee, this show is Surrounded.
Something interesting about it is that it does force them to play out this experiment in the real world instead of on the internet. And like, yes, I get that it's being broadcast on the internet in a kind of meta sense, but to have the conversation in person with somebody who disagrees with you, your thoughts are tested in real time. And you just saw that. He obviously hasn't considered whether he will be put into one of his little camps.
Right.
And he thinks, oh, no, I'll be okay, I'll be okay.
Fun little thought experiment.
Many people have thought that they would not end up in the camp, sir. That's the story of the last century.
I've got more for you. So this is in the immigration portion, and just, background knowledge here. Mehdi is an American citizen. He is a naturalized American citizen, and one of the Jubilee guys is like, you need to get the hell out. Let's take a listen.
But this is a very simplistic understanding of economics because you're
explain I'm wrong.
I'm telling you how you're wrong. Because you're ignoring the fact that when immigrants come into an area, they spend money. They create jobs through their presence.
About 1/5 of their monthly income leaves the country.
That's a good thing also because you don't like US aid, foreign aid. So this is the point. They create jobs. I came into this country. So far, every one of my assumptions about you has been correct. But listen to me. I am an immigrant. I'm speaking from personal experience.
Get the hell out.
I don't even like... I should get the hell out.
Yes.
Why?
I don't want you here.
Why?
Because you come here and say all this bullshit about how Americans are lazy.
Why?
You push your left-wing politics.
I never said Americans are lazy.
I don't know why you say this.
I never said Americans are lazy.
Yes, you are.
You're saying
immigrants have to come into this country so they can do jobs that we don't want to do. That's exactly what you said.
When did I say it?
Oh, really?
When did I say it?
So
We're on YouTube. Guys watching on YouTube, rewind to the time where I said immigrants are doing jobs we don't want to do. When did I say those words? Words never came out of my mouth.
Okay, so why do we have to bring in immigrants? Why do we have to bring in immigrants to the country if we have people who are going to do the jobs?
Pause. You've been voted out.
It's nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you.
You're going to have to go, bro.
Nice talking to you. You're going to have to go, bro, is what he said as I left to an American citizen. Good to know.
And to your point, Emily, this sort of validates like the worst caricature of what Democrats or liberals or leftists or whoever would say about the right of like, oh, you're pretending you just want secure borders. Really, you just want a white ethno-state. And you hate brown people, and you think even a naturalized citizen like Mehdi Hasan should go, bro. And this guy's like, yes. And I think that's what's very different about today is that like you can go on Twitter and see this sentiment expressed like routinely out in the open with support, with prominent online media figures who will bolster the case with these like pseudo-intellectual arguments that are being made, whether it's the Curtis Yarvins of the world or whoever. And I think Richard Hanania himself, he claims former eugenicist. I would say there's still some questions there, which I asked him about. In any case, I think he actually explained it well, as he called it like the based loop or something like that, where it's like you just keep going further and further. And the test is saying the most outrageous things and not getting offended by it. And, whoever can sort of like survive that test gets the most clout, credence, like countercultural vibes on the internet.
Well, there's a very obvious, I think, and sad reality to that, which is social media has completely gamified our politics and our culture. Literally, Twitter was designed like a casino. And so when we are communicating, whether it's journalists or as politicians or as members of the public sort of engaging in civic debate, quote unquote, it's all like gamified in a way that is playing on our like neurological structures. It's not, it's actually like incredibly messed up how little we think about what this has done to us, because posting is, when you're posting about your personal life, you're posting about politics, you're posting about another human being. We could have an entire conversation about the Coldplay concert when it comes to all of this, but you're maximizing retweets and likes. That's literally like casino behavior for politics and culture. Sure. And of course, it was inevitably going to change the way that we talk to each other in real life. It doesn't just stay on the internet. And so I actually think this is answering the question that we were just talking about a little bit, is whether this is getting better or worse, or whether it's staying the same, whether we have the same number of fringe people or whether it's getting worse. I think probably it is getting worse to some extent. And what I saw in that conversation was a little bit different than like white ethnopolitics. To me, that was this new argument that you hear from Trump world. You bring in a bunch of people from different countries like Europe, places where hatred of America or mockery of America is common.
Mehdi's from the UK.
Right. But that's the new, like that's J.D. Vance going to Europe and saying, like, this is the way that you guys have your free speech. And obviously it's hypocritical coming from J.D. Vance. But that's what I saw in that argument, was this idea that like it doesn't behoove America to bring people in who hate America. But it's just like, he didn't have Mehdi saying that he hated America. He was just assuming Mehdi thought Americans were lazy because he had different positions on immigration.
Yeah, well, right. And that's where the fundamental hypocrisy of the J.D. Vance thing, like connecting it to this, is like, I'm sure this guy may also be like, oh, I believe in free speech. It's like, yeah, but you have decided that Mehdi should be denaturalized and deported because he has differing political views than you. Like literally just on the basis of this, he's like, you come in and spout this garbage. It's like he makes up things that Mehdi didn't even say in the context of this debate.
Because it's the internet straw man, and this is what it does to our brains. And this is why it's really frustrating. Sometimes the feedback that we get on this show, especially, and I'm sure you get it from the left, I get it from the right, but like the feedback we get sometimes, to me, it's frustrating because people who don't do what we do all of the time, where we're talking to each other literally every day on things that we disagree with on, have these, I think, straw man ideas that social media encourages us to construct of people who disagree with us. And unless you are putting in a lot of time, which is hard to do, but like unless you are putting in a lot of time, we're lucky. Like that's why I consider myself lucky to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Those start to crumble when you have actual conversations. And so I guess good on Jubilee.
Or you have this where the caricature is completely validated. And they're like, yes, I am that internet Nazi fascist. That is who I am.
His caricature of Mehdi was incorrect.
Right.
And that's like, yeah, I mean, Mehdi is somebody who, if we didn't do this show, I would probably have a caricature of. But we had Mehdi on a couple of weeks ago, and it's hard to maintain those caricatures when you're doing it every single day and you're actually talking to people and having reasonable conversations. And so I think that's one of the problems with the online discourse, is that the algorithms force us into caricaturing and straw manning because that's validates our priors. It's the confirmation bias that makes virality possible. And when you have to actually have these conversations in real life, it's a lot harder, even for him. The first Nazi boy talking about Carl Schmitt, it was a lot harder for him to even maintain his own argument, the caricature of himself, because he would end up in a damn camp.
Right. Right.
Someone's going to the camps. Doesn't matter how much Carl Schmitt they've read.
So one of the assertions that Mehdi, you have to come in with like, these are my claims. One of the claims Mehdi made in the context of this debate was that Trump's plan for Gaza is ethnic cleansing. And this was one of the ones where actually a number of the people who came up and wanted to debate with him did not actually disagree with him, which was also kind of interesting. And you're like, okay, why, like,
well, Trump used the word clean.
I mean, it's just like, it's sort of impossible to argue, number one, but number two is also indicative, perhaps, of some of the ways that the young right is different on this issue and views it different than others. But they did have one guy who came in and was, making some not great points about how basically everyone in Gaza is Hamas and they all deserve to die. Let's go ahead and take a listen to that.
You gotta let me finish.
No, you gotta answer the question. Fourth time.
Well,
when Israeli snipers
shoot
Palestinian children in the head.
I will get to your
We're
answer.
running out of time. I need to know what you think about innocent children.
Because
what you said was pretty outrageous. You said so-called innocent Palestinians. For the fifth time, when Palestinian children are shot in the head by Israeli snipers, is that not the fault of Israeli snipers?
What did those children do?
What did they tell me? Did the children deserve to be shot in the head?
Because the problem is,
you know,
over there,
millions of people are watching you say
they start
brainwashing
children. They start brainwashing children at a very young age.
So you support sniping children in Gaza?
Look,
do other people here support sniping children in Gaza? Is that a conservative position now?
What if they're wearing a suicide vest?
They weren't.
But what if they are?
They're not, though.
What if
of children. I have friends who went there. Doctors went to Gaza. American doctors. They came back and said we had multiple children.
What if they're hell-bent?
Shots.
What if they're hell-bent on killing you and your family?
A 10-year-old child, an 8-year-old child, a 6-year-old child.
Because
this is
like
bad
you said,
for you.
Like you
You're
said,
sitting on
they're brainwashing
live television where millions of people are going to see your neighbors, your friends.
Millions
you
of people,
the killing of children.
Millions of people don't know what's going on.
Even your fellow right-wingers are saying, don't go this far. White genocide, sure, but don't advocate
millions of people
kids.
don't understand the brainwashing that is going on in Islamic Republic and in Palestine to create this hatred.
You're obsessed with Iran so much that you're supporting the killing of Palestinian children who never harmed you or any other Israeli. That's insane.
And that guy himself is Iranian, and so, which, you know, I guess helps inform what he's thinking about in this debate. But
you said he was Zorro.
That part's unconfirmed. I don't want to speculate. But I think to your point about, you know, if you have to exist in any sort of reality and you're still trying to toe the line for everything Israel does is totally and completely justified, you're going to end up looking like a genocidal maniac, as this fool ultimately ends up looking at the hands of Benny.
You know, one of the things I think bothers me about the format here is that they do kind of mimic social media in a sense with the red flags, like you've been voted out or whatever. It's gamified in and of itself, because I was thinking during that conversation how much more interesting it would have been without the chaos of like the flags waving and people jeering, because you could really see how Mehdi was working through the debate. I mean, he literally wrote a book about how to win arguments, right? Mehdi wrote a book about how to win arguments a couple of years ago.
I don't care how you feel about Mehdi. Mehdi is a very smart and very skilled presenter, debater, interviewer. I think he is truly one of the most talented, people in that genre out there.
He's good at what he does. And so going on an episode of Surrounded with Mehdi is going to be a mistake if you are just like an internet troll. You might think you're going to win.
Tip.
You're not going to win this one. It's not going to go well for you.
Well, I believe 20, what do they call them? Far-right conservatives found that out in real time.
And Mehdi said, because someone quote tweeted, said, Jubilee invited a bunch of Nazis, and Mehdi Hasan went, yeah, sure, I'm going to go debate them. And Mehdi said, to be fair to me, that's not how the debate was sold to me. You can see my shock when they start expressing their views openly. And something similar happened. I'm trying to remember who it was. Oh, it was Jordan Peterson. Remember, they sold the debaters as a Christian versus atheists. And Jordan Peterson's not a Christian. This happened like a month ago.
Right. They had to change the YouTube title.
Yes.
Because it was supposed to be one Christian versus 20 atheists.
Right.
And then he's immediately they're like, wait, he wouldn't say he's a Christian.
No,
I mean, and this is the thing he does, is he won't actually say what he believes and be direct about it.
Right. Because he doesn't know what he believes.
It was a mess.
Yeah, because he doesn't know. So anyway, what a experience those young kids had with Mehdi and Zorro.
Yeah. Friends were made. Oh. Enemies were made.
And the friend-enemy distinction was made. Yeah.
It all happened.
Yeah, so I think answering the question we started with, I do think some of the fringe stuff is getting worse. I think there are probably more people that are interested in a version of, for example, there are probably people who are attracted to Zohran Mamdani's ideas in ways that I think would probably go in a frightening direction were they tested out. I don't think that's representative of the Zohran Mamdani movement in any way whatsoever. I think that's representative of people being desperate and our elites being terrible. Now, on the right...
I'm not saying you're necessarily, but I just want to make the distinction. I don't think there is anything...
There's no equivalent.
No. Between Zohran being like, let's have free buses, and this guy being like, I'm a Nazi.
Of course not. Yeah. No, I'm just trying to say, I think there are people are being pulled in populist directions, and sometimes when people are pulled in a populist direction, it goes really, really wrong. And because people are being pulled in populist directions in good ways, like the media is awful, you're being lied to, that opens up space for people who say, correctly, everyone is lying to you. Listen to me. And those people will often lie to you.
Yes.
And so I think that it actually is really dangerous, and I think it's one of the most frustrating things about the obsession with just recycling like Andrew Cuomo or Republicans like having no answer to Donald Trump other than we're all MAGA Republicans now, as they say. Like that is really dangerous because you're not actually answering anybody's problems. You're not actually solving anybody's problems. You're just putting a sort of charismatic person in front of them. And again, I'm not drawing an equivalence between Zoran and Donald Trump. I'm just saying that's what happens when you don't answer populism. It ends up like making people more and more desperate. And as people get more and more desperate, they say insane things like this. But one of the weird things, not weird, predictable things, these people all seem perfectly, like they should be well adjusted, right? And that's like, we're being poisoned by social media and these algorithms. And
that's so true.
It's really, what a time to be alive.
Indeed. All right. Speaking of what a time to be alive, Israel routinely violating ceasefire in southern Lebanon barely makes news because of so many other things that are going on with even Israel specifically. But Dropsite has a great report for us. Let's go ahead and get to that.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.